Okay, I'm going to get started by welcoming all of you guys. Welcome to Wat Tung. Nice to see everyone. Sawadee Krap. Welcome to those of you guys joining online as well. Today is our group learning program where each Sunday and Wednesday I come together with students, helping them to understand the path to enlightenment. We actually use this book as a guide for our program where each Sunday I give a talk on a chapter in this book. And then on Wednesdays, I do meditation with students and then just open up to whatever questions you guys have. We do meditation on Sundays as well and have questions, but we really focus on covering certain content from our book. The Buddha figured out how to get to enlightenment where the mind's completely peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy. This is a permanent mental state where you no longer experience any discontent feelings. By the time you get to enlightenment, you'll no longer experience any anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy. All these feelings in others are eliminated from the mind. And this is accomplished through training of the mind. So what we do is we start each one of our classes with meditation. So I'm going to guide you guys in a meditation session, helping you guys to experience some of the teachings of the Buddha. But you would need more than just meditation to get to enlightenment. One of the biggest myths about the life story of the Buddha is people think that he sat under a tree, he meditated, and then instantly got to enlightenment. And this actually isn't true. So meditation is an important component of your practice, but you need much more than that. And that's why we have talks on the teachings and give you guys an opportunity to ask any and all questions that you'd like about the teachings of the Buddha. The way that we start with our meditation is we start with some chanting in order to ease the mind into meditation. And if you guys would like to chant along, you're more than welcome to, because it actually helps you to get more benefit out of the meditation itself. The chants are over there on a laminated sheet on a cabinet. If you would like to get a laminated sheet, or if someone would like to pass them around, you're more than welcome to, because as you guys chant, it'll help you to ease into the meditation. And those of you guys online, you can get these through our website by going to buddhadailywisdom.com, clicking on free books, and then scroll down towards the bottom and you'll see these daily chanting sheets. During the lifetime of the Buddha, they used chanting as a way to commit the teachings to memory. Every 2 weeks, his students would come together and they would recite his teachings orally. They didn't have books and audiobooks and videos and podcasts and things like this 2,500 years ago. So all of his teachings were oral. And they use chanting or recitation of the teachings as a way to help them to be able to commit the teachings to memory so that then they could actually practice the teachings. Because that's where the real benefit comes in, is when you're actually practicing the teachings to train your mind. So you can see from the origins of chanting that this isn't a rite or ritual or ceremony, worship or prayer or anything like that. There's none of those kinds of things in the teachings of the Buddha. If you're seeing rites, rituals, ceremonies, worship, and prayer associated with the teachings of the Buddha, this actually isn't his teachings. These are gross misunderstandings of his teachings. He didn't teach any of those things. He actually taught how to train your mind, cultivating the mind and getting to this enlightened mental state. So if you'd like to chant these on the way into meditation, you're more than welcome to, because you're going to get more benefit out of the meditation itself. If you read the English translations here on the chants, you're going to see a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for the Buddha. And because of this, I don't think the Buddha even created these chants, because the Buddha wouldn't have walked around and said, "Here, chant these chants to me out of respect for me." Right? This would be ego and arrogance. This would be putting yourself above other people. And by the time you get to enlightenment, you don't have that ego and arrogance. So the Buddha wouldn't have taught his students to chant something like this to him out of respect for him. But instead, if you learned from a teacher how to move from the anger, sadness, frustration, and all these other discontent feelings to the peaceful and joyful mental state that is enlightenment, and this teacher didn't want anything from you or expect anything from you, you might actually have a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for that person too. So I suspect these chants came from his students either during his life or after his death, because the Buddha just taught based in loving kindness and compassion. He just had concern for the misfortune of others because he had figured out how to get to this enlightened mental state, and he knew that other people were capable of accomplishing that too. And then he just spent the rest of his life sharing these teachings to be able to help people understand how to attain that mental state. So I suspect these chants actually came from his students. So you're welcome to chant them as we ease into meditation. Once we're in the meditation, I'm going to be providing you some guidance where I'm essentially going to be teaching you and instructing you how to meditate while we're actually meditating together. Then there's going to be a period of time of quietness where we're just all meditating. Everyone here at the temple and anyone joining online will just all be meditating together. Now, during this time of quietness, I'm sure you're going to hear occasional sounds because you can't be in an environment where it's permanently quiet. It's just not possible. You live in an impermanent world. If the mind is in meditation with a craving for permanent silence, when you hear a sound, you'll get annoyed or frustrated or agitated. It's the mind itself that's causing that feeling. It's not the outside world. This is why you can actually eliminate these feelings, because it's the mind itself that is causing these feelings. So while you're meditating, you might hear a car go by, a dog barking, a bird chirping, someone here might cough or sneeze during the meditation. This is all completely normal. These sounds are going to arise, they're going to change, and then they're going to fade away. They are impermanent. And if you're in meditation and you understand that, when you hear that sound, you can reside peaceful and joyful because you understand that the world's working exactly the way it was intended to work, where everything around you is constantly changing. But if you're in meditation with a craving for permanent silence, when you hear a sound, you'll be annoyed or frustrated or agitated or some other discontent feeling. So you can be at peace and joy when you train your mind to let go and to not crave permanence. After that period of time of quietness, we're going to come out of the meditation with some more chanting. And then what I'm going to do is probably just share a little bit of the taste of the teachings of the Buddha with you. And then I'm just going to open up to any and all questions that you guys have about the teachings of the Buddha or anything you're seeing here in Thailand, anything from your personal life that you'd like help with, or anything that I talk about. You're welcome to ask any and all questions when we get to that point. So in terms of your body position for meditation, there's 4 positions that the Buddha taught: seated, lying, standing, and walking. And you would learn these different positions at different times as part of your journey to enlightenment. It's kind of like erecting a tool belt and using these different tools at different times. Oftentimes people are learning in the seated position. So today I'll introduce you to that. And then we have various courses and retreats that you're welcome to take that are going to help you to be able to learn all the other tools and techniques that you need to journey to enlightenment. In the seated position, you could be sitting on the floor in a chair. If you're at home, you might be in a bench or a sofa or in a wheelchair. You can really sit however you like. There's not just one way to actually sit. Everybody's body is a little bit different, so we're going to find different things to be comfortable. So what I'm going to share with you are just suggestions or recommendations, but you find whatever's comfortable for you, even if it's not anything that I've shared. So if you're on the floor, you might have some cushions under your rear. This will kind of help soften your seat a bit. And if you're going to bring your legs together in the cross-leg position, you like to just do that lightly. Whereas if they're real tight, this can impede the circulation and can cause pain in the lower body. Some people like to put their legs off the mat. This gets your hips up in the air and it lessens the angle at the hips, the knees, and the ankles, allowing the circulation to flow. The Buddha put his right hand over his left with his thumbs together, and he put this into his lap. If this is comfortable for you, you could use it. But again, it's not about everyone doing it exactly the same way. There's other options here as well. Some people like to put their palms on their thighs or their knees. Some people put their palms up. Some people might just rest their hands comfortably in their lap. In terms of someone who might be sitting in a chair or a bench or a sofa or a wheelchair, it's the same thing for you. You can sit however you're comfortable. Some people like to put their feet flat on the floor or lightly cross at the ankles, but you can see me sitting in a chair here with my legs crossed, so this is an option for you as well. And then you can put your hands and arms wherever you like. In terms of your upper body, you'd like this to be erect, where the sternum's up and the shoulders back, because if you're slouched like this, the mind will have a tendency to be dull or lethargic. But if you're real rigid, the mind could be overactive or uptight. So you'd like the upper body to be in the middle with the sternum up and the shoulders back. This is going to keep your mind attentive and alert during the meditation, because this is a dedicated, active, purposeful training session where you're eliminating certain unwholesome qualities and you're cultivating certain wholesome qualities in the mind. So you'd like the mind to be attentive and alert during the meditation. So again, I'm going to chant to ease into meditation, and you guys are welcome to join in if you like. And then I'm going to come back in with some guidance for breathing mindfulness meditation. And then we're going to do a bit of loving kindness meditation too, where I'm going to come in with some other affirmations that are going to help you to be able to train your mind to eliminate anger, hatred, and ill will. And even the lesser versions of this, like frustration, agitation, and annoyance, even the slightest dislike. It takes gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress to be able to do this. But this meditation, you're going to hear me saying these affirmations or these phrases, and on the out breath, you would like to repeat these in your mind. What this meditation is doing is it's helping to rewire your mind to be more loving and kind with the people around you. And we'll talk about this meditation afterwards so that you guys can first experience it. And then when I explain it and talk to you and explain how it's working, you'll understand it better, having actually practiced it. So again, if you'd like to do the chanting on the way in, you're more than welcome to. And then I'm going to come back in, guiding you all the way through the meditation. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Mahakawa Wat Tung Mahakawanang Apiwateyami Sawakato Mahakawata Tammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Mahakavato Sawaka Sangho Sanghang Namami Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti piso Mahakawa Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vicacaranang Sammuno Sakato Rokawitu Anutero Purisa Dhamma Sati Satatawa Manusarang Bhutto Bhagavati. Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the upper body erect, just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you're just looking to establish the breath. A nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Not forced or controlled, just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathing gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, start fixating the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. Then I'll be back with more guidance on loving kindness meditation. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. Continuing to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Repeat these phrases in the mind on the out breath. May I be peaceful. May I be safe. May I be well. May I be free of all discontentedness and the suffering that it causes. May mom and dad be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness and the suffering that it causes. May my family, friends, co-workers, and neighbors all be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness in the suffering that it causes. May all those who have harmed me be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness in the suffering that it causes. May all those who I have harmed be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness in the suffering that it causes. May all beings, wherever they reside, be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness and the suffering that it causes. Now return back to breathing mindfulness meditation, focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. Breathing in and out. อะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธมหะคะวาโพตังมหาคะวันหังอภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตมหาคะวตาธัมโมธัมมังนามัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนมหาคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมหะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารนังสัมมุโนสกาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสาดามาสติสัตตาตวามนุสรังปุตโตภะคะวะติ Okay, if you guys would like to slowly make your way out of meditation. Once again, welcome to all of you guys. Nice to see everyone here this morning. Welcome to Wat Tung. Welcome to everyone who's joining online as well. The teachings of the Buddha aren't about a bunch of beliefs of things that you believe and then you hope something good happens when you die. It's also not rules or commandments of the Buddha telling you what you should or shouldn't be doing in the world. Instead, he's giving you tools and techniques to be able to help you uproot the causes and conditions that are producing things like anger and sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy. So he actually figured out on his own how to be able to get to this enlightened mental state. And then he shared what worked for him to be able to get to this enlightened mental state where you can then experience that same mental state for yourself, where the mind's completely peaceful and joyful. It's calm, it's serene. You no longer experience any of these discontent feelings. The Buddha discovered 10 individual pollutions that are in the mind, and it's through training the mind that you uproot those out of the mind, and that's where the peace and the joy is gradually coming into the mind more and more over a period of time. It's gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress. It took the Buddha 6 years to get to enlightenment. So it's going to take you time to gradually train your mind to get to this enlightened mental state. As you uproot these pollutions out of the mind, not only will the mind be completely peaceful and joyful, and you eliminate those discontent feelings, but you'll notice that the mind has focus, concentration, clarity, and deep memory because it's now performing optimally. With those pollutions in the mind, your mind can't perform perform optimally, and you won't have focus, concentration, clarity, and deep memory. You'll notice that your personal and professional relationships are really blossoming, because in the unenlightened state with these pollutions in the mind, you'll have a certain amount of bitterness and harshness and hostility in your mind, and you'll put that out in your relationships, and it'll all come back to you. Oftentimes people think that the anger and frustration and that bitterness and hostility is being caused by other people, but it's actually being caused by your own mind. This is the reason why you can eliminate it, because it's your own mind that's causing these feelings. It's not the outside world. But oftentimes with people's lack of wisdom, they will firmly believe that it's the outside world that is causing these feelings. And as long as you have that bitterness and harshness and hostility, and you put that out in your relationships, this is what's going to come back to you. But by the time you purify your mind and you train your mind and you're being loving and kind in all situations, you'll notice that your personal, professional relationships are really blossoming. They'll be at ease, and you won't even have a bad mood any longer. It's physically impossible for the enlightened mind to experience a bad mood because the causes and conditions that are producing it have been uprooted. So these two meditations that we just did, this is part of the training that an individual would employ in order to be able to get to enlightenment. But there's other things you need besides that as well. But just focusing on these meditations a bit, I'll help you to understand how they're helping you to be able to move the mind to this enlightened mental state and experience the peace and joy that is the enlightened mental state. So this breathing mindfulness meditation, when you're focused on the breath and it moves off the breath, that's your mindfulness or awareness of mind, that you're noticing that it moved off the breath. You might have experienced 10, 20, 30 different times that your mind was moving off the breath. You might have been having rapid thoughts. This is normal for the mind in the unenlightened state. It might be thought, or you might have indulged in a thought and kind of followed it and played with it and looked at it, and then you realize, oh yeah, I'm meditating. Let me bring my mind back to the breath. If your mind did this, this is completely normal. The goal of this meditation isn't to eliminate your thoughts. It's to notice your thoughts sooner and sooner and cut them off and let them go easier and easier. Because what the mind's doing in the unenlightened state, and the whole reason why it's experiencing things like anger, sadness, frustration, and others, is because it has something called craving, desire, attachment, longing, yearning, wanting, and expecting things to be a certain way. The mind is chasing after the objects of its affection, thinking that the next new shiny object waiting around the corner is going to provide some kind of lasting satisfaction. The mind craves permanence while it lives in an impermanent world. The mind craves and expects things to be a certain way. And if the mind gets what it wants, it gets happy and excited about that. It gets pleasant feelings. But if the mind doesn't get what it wants, it gets painful feelings like anger, sadness, frustration, and others. So as long as the mind is craving permanence, the mind's going to be longing, yearning, and chasing after things. And it can only be happy when it gets what it wants or what it expects. But the mind is not going to be able to get what it wants and expects in every situation because the world around you is impermanent. So, for example, if you get really happy and excited when it's sunny outside, well, when it rains, you'll be sad or frustrated. The only thing that's happened here is change. But if you base your inner feeling of happiness on the sun, your happiness isn't permanent because the sun is not permanent. Or if you get really happy when your bank account balance is up here, when it goes down here, you'll be sad or frustrated or annoyed or agitated or some other discontent feeling. Again, the only thing that's happened here is change. That's it. But the mind craves permanence, wanting things and expecting things to be a certain way. And it can only be happy when it gets things the way it wants. If you think back to a relationship that you might have been in, when you were together with that boyfriend or girlfriend, you might have been really happy or really excited about that. But then when you guys broke up, you might have been angry or sad or frustrated or some other discontent feeling. This is the mind holding on and craving permanence, wanting this relationship to be permanent, when in reality it is impermanent. Ever since the beginning of the relationship, it was impermanent. It's not your love or your care that's causing you to be discontent when you guys break up. For example, if grandma and grandpa die, you might be angry or frustrated or sad or sorrowful when that's occurring. That's the mind craving permanence. As long as the mind getting what it wants, grandma and grandpa's alive, it'll be happy. But if the mind doesn't get what it wants, then it'll experience the painful feelings. So you can see this in these relationships. Even if you've had someone close to you that has gotten married, you might have experienced going to the wedding and being sorrowful, This isn't the mind's love or care because, hey, this person's meeting someone new. They're going out into the world, starting a life with a new partner or something like this. That's not the love that's causing the sorrow and the grief at a wedding. It's the mind holding on and craving permanence. Mom and dad, brothers and sisters, other people are holding on to this person, thinking that they're permanent in their life. And when they're going off in the world with someone else, this represents impermanence, change. And the mind is confronted with this and it doesn't understand it. If you had a car, say a brand new car, and you were so excited about that car and you parked it at a store and you went inside and you came out and there's a scratch on the car, if you got frustrated in that situation, it's not the scratch that's causing that. And it's not the person who scratched your car that's causing you to be frustrated or annoyed. It's the mind craving permanence, wanting this car to be permanently beautiful when it's just not possible. This car is going to get a scratch. It's only a matter of time. The paint's going to fade. The tires are going to need to be changed. The upholstery is going to get ripped and torn. And if you crave permanence, when your mind is experiencing impermanence, the mind doesn't like that. And it experiences anger and sadness, frustration, and others. So one of the ways to say this is that, yes, the mind is craving permanence, but the mind does not like impermanence. It doesn't like change. This is where you can start looking at your own life to independently verify what I'm sharing with you. Because as I said, the teachings of the Buddha aren't based in belief. There's nothing for you to believe about what I'm saying, what I write in these books, what other people say about the teachings of the Buddha. You need to be able to independently verify it for yourself to be able to see the truth. And that's what it means to awaken, is that you're cultivating wisdom about the world around you. And now as you cultivate that wisdom, you can navigate the world more peacefully. So look at your life. Look at a recent situation where you've been angry or sad or frustrated, irritated or annoyed. Might have been this morning or yesterday or last week. Look at that situation. What was it that your mind was longing, yearning for? What were you craving? What were you wanting? What were you expecting? And if you would have got it, you would have been happy. But because you didn't get what you wanted, the mind was angry or sad or frustrated. If you can't see this, let me know when we get to the question period, and I'll help you to be able to see this for yourself. Because there's been plenty of students over the years that have needed help to be able to see how it's their own mind that's causing these feelings. You can also look at your life and see where you've experienced change. Those were some of the most difficult times for you in your life. Whether you were changing relationships, you were changing jobs, you were changing living locations. These were very challenging for you because your mind didn't like that change. So this breathing mindfulness meditation, the goal isn't to eliminate your thoughts. Even when you're enlightened, you'll still have thoughts during your meditation. It's to train your mind to notice the thought sooner and sooner and cut it off and let it go easier and easier. Because when you're holding on, the mind's craving permanence, you'll experience anger, sadness, frustration, and others. But if you can train your mind to let go, that's when your peace and your joy will exist in your mind. You can verify this too, because think back to that boyfriend or girlfriend that you were with, that you were angry or sad or frustrated or lonely or bored or missing that person. At some point, your mind let go. And that's where your peace and your joy came back. You were like, you know what? If he wants to be with someone else, so be it. And you let go. And that's where your peace came back, right? Or you're like, you know what? If she wants to live in another part of the world, so be it. And your mind let go. And that's where your peace and your joy came back. But the thing is that the unenlightened mind doesn't know how to let go. So that's why the breathing mindfulness meditation is there for you, training your mind to let go, let go, let go. So in meditation, you're cutting off anything and everything that comes up because you're training your mind to let go. But in your day-to-day life, you would like to train your mind to let go of the unwholesome thoughts, the unwholesome things. So let's just say in your day-to-day life, you're thinking about, I'd like to call up my mom and maybe invite her to lunch or to dinner. I'd like to take her out and maybe buy her some food, right? This is generosity. There's no need to cut that off in your day-to-day life. Perhaps you call your mom and you take her out to lunch or take her out to dinner. But if you're thinking about punching your boss in the face, you'd like to cut that off, right? Because that's going to cause unwholesome results in your life. That's the cause and effect of your decisions that are going to lead to any particular result that you experience. So you'd like to cut that off. So just like a professional athlete, they train in the gym in one way and their sport might look completely different. The same thing is true when you're training your mind. You're exercising the mind. When you're exercising the mind in meditation with breathing mindfulness meditation, you cut off anything and everything that's coming up. Just keep coming back to the breath. But in your day-to-day life, you just cut off the unwholesome thoughts that come up. Then that loving kindness meditation that we did, where we were saying, may mom and dad be peaceful, safe, well, and free of discontentedness. This isn't trying to change mom and dad. This isn't how you're going to get to peace and joy. You're not going to get to peace and joy in your life and in your relationships by trying to change other people, because that's what the mind tends to do in the unenlightened state, that it doesn't understand the real true problem is within your own mind. The mind firmly believes the problem is outside of you, is external. So when you're experiencing anger and frustration, you might think that it's coming from something external, and now you become unskillful. What you do is you might push people away or push the situation away. This is called aversion, where you're pushing away, thinking that this person is causing your problems, and if you push them out of your life, things are going to get better. You might have pushed away friends or family members out of your life, and you can see that it didn't solve your problem because you still get angry, you still get frustrated, you still get annoyed. If this person was the true problem that was causing you to be angry and frustrated, when you push them out of your life, you'd be peaceful and joyful from that point forward. Or the second thing you'll do when you think the problem is external and you don't realize the problem is in your own mind is you'll be bitter and harsh and hostile to people through your intentions, your speech, and your actions. It's almost like an animal growling and roaring at another animal, right? This damages your relationships, because when you're bitter and harsh and hostile to that person, they might choose to leave out of your life. You can see where you've experienced that before. Or at the very least, you'll damage the relationship, and now they'll be bitter and harsh and hostile to you. You can look in your relationships and in your life, the places where you're bitter and harsh and hostile, those people are most likely bitter and harsh and hostile right back to you. Or the third thing that you might do when you misunderstand where the real problem is, thinking that it's external, is you'll try to put your expectations on people and try to control people and pressure people into doing things your way. In fact, people might be doing this to you, where they're pushing you away. They're being bitter, harsh, and hostile to you, or they're putting their expectations on you. And as long as you're doing this, you can't live with all beings harmoniously, because it's only a matter of time before you encounter somebody who does things differently than you. Because the mind craves permanence. It wants everybody to do things your way, because the ego's in there telling you that your way is the right way and everybody else's is the wrong way. And now when people do things your way, you will like them. You'll be happy. But when they don't do things your way, you'll dislike them. That dislike is actually coming from your own mind, where the mind is craving permanence and wanting things to be a certain way. Sometimes people think that dislike is coming from the other person, but it's actually coming from your own mind because you have expectations. You're craving this permanence and wanting everybody to be a certain way, when there's only one person in the world who actually does things your way 100% of the time. Do you know who this person is that does things your way 100% of the time? Who's the person who does things your way 100% of the time? Yourself, right? It's yourself that does things your way. So if you can only be peaceful and joyful with people who do things your way, you can only be peaceful and joyful with yourself. And you might even have trouble doing that sometimes, right? So you're going to encounter people who don't do things your way. So you're going to need to understand the world is impermanent, that things are constantly changing, and that everybody does things your way. And you also need to understand you've got this ego in there telling you that your way is the right way and everyone else's is the wrong way. And that's not true, because there's multiple ways to do things. There's multiple right answers. There's not just one way to do things. So you can actually train your mind where you don't have this bitterness and harshness and hostility towards others, because as long as you're putting that out, it's causing difficulties and struggles in your day-to-day life. So this loving kindness meditation, where we are saying, may mom be peaceful, well, and safe, and all these other things, it's not to change mom and dad. That's not how you're going to get to peace and joy. You can't change other people. Sometimes you even have trouble changing your own mind. So how can you change other people, right? Everyone in the world is not going to do things your way. there's 8 billion people in the world. So you'll never get to peace and joy by trying to change your parents or your brothers and sisters or your life partner, your children, or people like this. You need to be able to change your mind. You need to go inward and do this inner work to train your own mind. That's what the Buddha is teaching you how to be able to do. This loving kindness meditation where you're doing those phrases, it's actually building loving kindness up in your mind where you can have love and kindness towards others, meaning a genuine interest in seeing all beings be well. And as you build that up in your mind, it's almost like filling up your gas tank. And now you go out into the world being loving and kind with the people around you. That's where the real transformation is occurring in your day-to-day life, where you're being loving and kind with the people around you. That's what's going to transform your relationships. You know, I grew up having a lot of resentment towards my mom because obviously I had certain expectations as a child, wanting my mom to be a certain way. And she wasn't that way. Right? She was doing things her way. So I was angry and frustrated when she wouldn't do things my way, right? So there was a certain amount of resentment and hostility all through my early years. And I kept trying to change mom, right? And it didn't work. But when I started to change my mind, and then I started interacting with mom differently, that's where things really improve. So if you're looking to improve your relationships, you're going to need to be able to work on your own mind. And that's where the real improvement comes in your day-to-day interactions. So this meditation is essentially rewiring your mind to be loving and kind so that you can go out into the world and be loving and kind through your intentions, your speech, and your actions. And there's teachings from the Buddha that are going to help you learn how to do that. So there's various things that you would need to be able to learn to gradually transform your mind, gradually train it towards this enlightened mental state. Part of that is meditation, yes, but you need the wisdom of what's actually causing these feelings so that then you can actually fix it. If you don't understand what's actually causing these feelings, you won't ever be able to eliminate them. If you keep believing that it's something external, you will never fix your problem. You will just go around pushing people away, being bitter, harsh, and hostile, or putting your expectations on people. So I'm going to stop and see if you guys have questions, anything you guys would like to ask related to what I'm sharing with you, or maybe things that you've seen in the world, maybe it's struggles or challenges you're having in day-to-day life, maybe things you're seeing here in Thailand at the temples, or anything you might have even heard about Buddhism from other places. You're more than welcome to ask those questions because I'm here to help you guys. If you would like to be able to ask questions here at the temple, we have microphones in the white bowl here in the center of the room. All you need to do is come and get a microphone, take it back to your seat, and you can press the gray button. You're going to see the lights come on, and you just hold it up to your chin, and we'll be able to hear you here at the temple, and they'll be able to hear you online as well. If you speak here without a microphone, they won't be able to hear you online. And then if you'd like to keep these microphones with you, you're more than welcome to, because you might have more than one question, or someone around you might have a question, and you can just share the microphone with them. And then if you're not using it, if you could turn it off, that'll be helpful so that we don't get feedback through the speakers. And anybody who's online, if you guys would like to ask questions, you can put this into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom in the comment section, or in Zoom, you can electronically raise your hand, unmute your microphone, and ask any and all questions you like that way. So is there anybody here online that has a question? No questions? Yeah, Leo, you have a question? Maybe you'll break the ice for everybody. People are shy, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm thinking about uh, celebrating Sylvester, a New
Celebrating
Year,
what?
New Year,
Oh, okay.
with a few friends in France.
Mm-hmm.
Friends in France. Now, two of my friends said that they're not able to come,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm also thinking about if it's really wise to do it, because I try to stop drinking alcohol, and I know these people into that. So yeah, not sure how I address it, because I already said, yeah, I'm really interested. A few weeks ago, I said I'm really interested. We can do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now saying, hey, you know, my plans changed. I'm not sure if this. Yeah, I'm not sure. I feel a little bit uncomfortable in doing that.
Mm-hmm.
What would you suggest? And on the other side, I also be interested in visiting France and my friend there, but many of his friends I don't know, so I'm not sure if I'm there for a few days. I mean, if it's one day, that's fine, right? I can, if it's in my hometown, I visit this friend, for example, I could move in and out whenever I want. But there I'm somehow a little bit stuck in this place. And I'm still feeling uncomfortable sometimes if I'm with people and they drink beer and I say, I choose to drink water. I feel uncomfortable because some people feel annoyed by that, right? So, yeah.
Okay. So you've heard me share before, we're not here to be able to tell you what you should or shouldn't do in your life. It's your decisions. It's your life and your decisions. We're here to help you to be able to see why your mind is experiencing what it's experiencing, and then help you understand this natural law of cause and effect so that then you make decisions for yourself in your own life. So the reason why you're feeling uncomfortable with having said that, I would like to go to France, and now you're considering not going, but that you're feeling uncomfortable with that is because your mind's having craving. There's a permanent thing that the mind's holding on to. It's holding on to this, I want to go to France, and I told these people I'm going to France. And now if you change your mind doesn't like that. It feels uncomfortable. Where the only thing that is change. That's it. And if your friends get angry or frustrated because you're changing your mind, their mind's causing that itself. You're not causing their frustration or agitation or annoyance. If they're craving permanence, craving for you to come, they're longing, yearning for you to come, when you change your mind, they'll get frustrated, agitated, or annoyed, but you're not causing that. It's their mind holding on and craving permanence. We can change our mind. There's nothing permanent about any decision that you make. You could say, hey, I'm coming to France, and then 2 days later, 2 weeks later, 2 months later, you could change your mind, and there's no harm in that. The only way that you can cause harm to someone is cause harm to their physical body, their material possessions, or their reputation. You can't cause someone else to be discontent, but you can cause them harm. And by you just changing your mind not to go, you're not causing harm to their physical body, their material possessions, or their reputation. So the fact that you're uncomfortable with changing your mind shows that there's craving, desire, attachment there. So whether you choose to go or not, this is a decision for you to make. If you were interested in going and you do choose to go and you don't like being around people when they're using drugs and alcohol, it would be unwise to be around that type of thing, because if you're just now recently getting away from those things yourself, your mind could easily be influenced into that. So it's best to not associate in environments where those types of things are going on, because now your mind can easily be influenced to move in that direction. Ultimately, it's a choice for you to make, but you would like to give your mind the best opportunity to be free of substances, because as long as you're taking substances that cause heedlessness, you're not going to have awareness of mind. You're going to potentially be ingesting those substances, and now when you ingest those, it's going to cause difficulties and struggles within your own mind, because now you don't have awareness of mind to be able to make wise decisions. So whether you choose to go or not, choice for you to make, right? But this is the reason why your mind is experiencing what it's experiencing. If you are interested in hanging out with these people, and you would like to do that, and you'd like to go check out France, there's also the ability for you to go to something like this, spend a couple of hours with these people when they're not using drugs and alcohol, and then as soon as that stuff starts happening, you leave and go off on your own and do things by yourself. But if you're having craving, desire, attachment, you're going to want to hold on to them, and you're not going to feel comfortable going off by yourself. But that's what you would like to be able to do, that you can be comfortable spending time with people, but you can also be comfortable spending time alone too, where you're not bored and lonely. That boredom and loneliness is coming from the mind's craving, wanting to be with others permanently, when you can't be with other people permanently. So you need to look at your own mind and decide, whether it would be wise or helpful for you to go to this situation, and then understand, as your mind's experiencing these discontent feelings, the reason why, that it's because of your own craving, desire, attachments.
Yeah, thank you for that. So if I want to cancel it, I would say it like, because he asked, the organizer asked, if we guy who wants to come now, is it true? I would say thank you again for the invitation. My plans have changed. My plans have changed, but have a nice day. Would that be a way to do it, or?
There's no harm in that, right? You haven't caused any harm. You haven't used any unwise speech, right? If they start to put pressure on you to come, that's what the mind can do. Like if they're craving for you to come, right? They might start putting expectations on you and try to pressure you to come. Just understand what that is that's their craving, right? Because when the mind's getting what it wants, it's going to be happy. And when it's not getting what it wants, when it gets those painful feelings, it's going to think that, wow, if I can just get my cravings fulfilled, I'll be happy. So if they get painful feelings that you're not coming, their mind, being untrained, is going to think the way to solve that is to pressure you to come and try to force you to come. So if that is happening in that situation, just understand where that's coming from, which is their craving. They might even try to say, oh, you told me you're coming and now you're not coming. You're such a terrible friend, right? They might even try to put pressure on you in these kinds of ways. So the mind's either going to want to push away, be bitter, harsh, and hostile, or put expectations on people and try to control you in order to do things their way. Because this is the mind trying to get what it wants. Even when the mind's being bitter and harsh and hostile with people, the mind's trying to fear that other person into doing things your way, because the mind is not understanding what's causing these painful feelings, and those painful feelings are uncomfortable for the person to experience, and they think the way to solve that is to be able to get what they want. So the mind will either push away, be bitter, harsh, or hostile, or put expectations on people and try to control them to do things a certain way. So sure, you can say what you just said, but just realize that they might still have more to say after that. And if they do, if they get angry, they're causing it themselves. If they start putting expectations on you to try to force you to come, you understand that that's what their mind's doing, and you don't have to be influenced by that. You can just make your decision and stick with it. Because one of the things that the unenlightened mind will do is if it doesn't think through its decisions, it will waver on its decisions. That if you've thought through your decision and you know what is wise, when somebody else is telling you all these different things, like, come on, you party pooper, come on, Leo, you got to come, you'll waver on your decisions, right? But if you know that you're making a wise decision, even when people are trying to pressure you, you'll stick with your decision and you'll just move forward in that situation. You won't waver. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're welcome. Sir, you have a question? It is. Yep.
I was wondering about the compatibility of the practice with the Western, or let's say monotheistic, idea of faith being, let's say, even childlike faith, a faith that requires you to have a belief that holds some permanence, but it's not to a physical event or a relationship. It's a faith that a miracle occurred or something like that. Mm-hmm. It seems complex to me to work out how you would approach that with a practice of removing attachment and expectations and all that. Is there? Do you have any thoughts on the compatibility of the path and the community with the concepts of faith in monotheistic religions?
Yeah, there's no faith in the teachings of the Buddha, because faith is typically blind, right? It's belief in something, and there's no belief in the teachings of the Buddha. Instead, he teaches you to build confidence in him, his teachings, the community that you're part of, your teacher, and your own ability to get to enlightenment. And the way that you build confidence is you investigate and examine his teachings. You then reflect on them to independently verify whether they're true or false, and then you practice his teachings. As you're integrating those teachings into your day-to-day life and you're training your mind, you'll be in certain situations where in the past, you used to get angry and frustrated. And then that same exact situation, you'll notice, wow, the mind's quite peaceful here. And you'll understand exactly why that is, because of the training that you've been doing. So there isn't any faith whatsoever in the teachings of the Buddha. He never said, just have faith in me. He said, that you would need this confidence, but then the way that he teaches you to build that confidence is to examine his teachings. So he says, come, examine my teachings, see for yourself, because he knew that his teachings led to his enlightenment and the peace and joy that he was experiencing. And he knew if you investigated his teachings close enough and you learned them and practiced them, you'd be able to see that they work for you too. It's only a matter of time if you investigate them close enough that you're going to be able to see the truth and be able to experience more and more peace and joy in your day-to-day life, because your condition of your mind is going to be improving and your relationships are going to be improving too in your day-to-day experiences. Even if someone's in a professional field, their profession is going to be improving, their career is going to be improving, because they're now making wiser and wiser decisions. Their mind's becoming more focused and concentrated, and they can perform better in their day-to-day livelihood. So you'll see this gradual improvement in the condition of your mind in your life. So there's no faith whatsoever in his teachings. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I would say that makes me feel like you're indicating that even at the beginning of a study, anything that requires faith in, I'll say, a monotheistic religion or a political party, it would be incompatible with progressing down the path to enlightenment.
It's not that it's incompatible. It's just that in order to get to enlightenment, it's not based in belief. It's not based in your views and opinions about other things. So if somebody, let's just say, was Christian or Muslim and they had a belief in God and they thought that God exists, and now they're interested in getting involved in the path to enlightenment and train their mind to get to enlightenment, these things can mutually exist together. But you get to the point where you understand that you're not believing in the teachings of the Buddha, you're learning, growing, and developing on the path. And now if somebody has a belief in God, they'll actually be able to see more and more clearly as their mind's becoming more and more wholesome, more and more peaceful, more and more joyful. They'll be able to understand this being of God more closely if that's what they're interested in doing. Or if they're not interested in doing that and they're not interested in having a relationship with a being referred to as God, for example, then they can do that too, and they can get to enlightenment. So there's not just one door to walk through. There's not a bunch of beliefs that says, here, you have to do all these things, and if you don't do these things and you don't conform to this way of being, you can't get to enlightenment. It's not that way. That's not the way the teachings of the Buddha are. It's helping you to be able to understand your mind, the pollutions in your mind, and then use the tools and techniques to uproot them and eliminate them. So if someone has certain political views and they have a certain political party that they associate with, that's a choice for them to make, because there's no politics in the teachings of the Buddha. That's completely separate. That's a choice and decision that an individual is going to make based on their views and opinions about the world and what they think would be helpful and beneficial for the world. So the Buddha's not teaching you what you should or shouldn't be doing in terms of your political thoughts and ideas in terms of that, or how you should think about this being of God or anything like that. He's teaching you to understand your mind and the world around you. And now through cultivating that wisdom, you'll be able to navigate the world more peacefully. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're welcome. Yes. You're welcome to come get some mics. We have plenty up here. I think this one's on. Maybe you could turn that one off. Yeah, that way
it's on now. I think it's working.
That one's working.
Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and the guided meditation. And I have a question that's something really bothering me these days is about power dynamics, because I think, like, yes, you can manage your expectations, but I feel like the world is not equal, right? You have different like relational hierarchies. Like you have expectations as a daughter to a mother. You might be like a manager, so you have expectations for employees, and we don't share the same resources. And I think like the power dynamics is just here to stay, right? So even though I know, like, from your wisdom is like, I can try to understand, and like nothing is permanent. I should manage my expectations, but I just feel like the outside world is not that peaceful and beautiful. So I'm just wondering if you can share some thoughts on, like, from a Buddhist perspective, like within everything we have on hand and the reality we are living in, with all the unequal power dynamics we have in the world. Like, how can I really manage this kind of inner peace? And I know I can just sit here and empower myself, but the reality is here to stay. So I'm just wondering if you can share some thoughts on that. Thank you.
Okay, sure. So the mind in the unenlightened state is going to look to the outside world and want the outside world to be a certain way. And the mind thinks that I can only be peaceful if the world is this certain way. So while other people might have a hierarchy in their mind of how they how the world in their view is constructed, where there's, social status or social class or certain positions in society, and maybe that's the way that those people think. Getting to enlightenment isn't about changing those people or changing how the world functions. That's not the way that you're going to get to peace and joy. It's about training your mind to get to the peace and joy. And as long as you put expectations on yourself, using your examples, that if you put expectations on yourself as a daughter to your mom, or you put expectations on yourself as a manager and what you're supposed to do for your employees, you're not going to be able to meet those expectations permanently. It's not possible. So therefore, when you're doing things the way you want and the way you expect, you'll be happy and feel great about that. But when you're not accomplishing those things, and sometimes you're not going to be able to accomplish them because of impermanence, you'll feel guilty or shameful or some other discontent feeling that you're not taking care of your mom in the way that you want to take care of her, or the way that she wants you to take care of her, or you're not taking care of your employees in the way that your mind wants to take care of them, or that they want you to take care of them themselves. So getting to this peace and joy is to not adopt these expectations where you're chasing, but also if you came all the way to the other side where you could care less about what's going on in the world, and you just were like, oh, well, there's impermanence, so I'm not going to do anything, you're not going to be peaceful in either one of these situations. Because what the mind's used to in the unenlightened state is chasing, and that's where it gets its motivation from, to a certain degree, that it's chasing after money or a bigger house or a bigger title or something like this. And people think, well, if I'm not chasing, if I'm not longing, yearning, and I'm not having this craving, desire, attachment, wouldn't my mind swing all the way over here to the other side where I feel dull and lethargic and unmotivated to do anything in the world? Well, it could, but that's not where the Buddha is teaching you to be. He's teaching you the middle way, where you gradually work towards goals, objectives, or interests through wise decision making. So you can remove, through training of your mind, you can remove the expectations that your mom might be put on you or you're putting on yourself. You can remove the expectations of the work environment. You can remove the expectations that other people in society might be trying to put on you. You can train your mind not to adopt those. And now you can be free of that. And now you can just work towards your goals, objectives, or interests through wise decision making without basing your feelings and emotions on whether or not you accomplish that thing or not. Because what people will typically do is they will have a certain goal. They will call it a goal. And if they get to this, they'll feel happy and excited. But if they don't get to it, they'll feel frustrated or annoyed or guilty or shameful. But that's not actually a true goal. That is a craving, desire, attachment. That's a want or expectation masquerading as a goal. So if you let go of that and you come to the middle where your mind can pursue goals, objectives, or interests, and remember, it takes training to be able to do that, that if you come to the middle with goals, objectives, or interests, you can gradually work towards those through wise decision making. And now you're not basing your feelings on whether you accomplish it or not, because you understand that you're not going to be able to accomplish every single thing that you set out to accomplish. Because of impermanence, it's just not possible. So you could be working your way towards a true goal, and you could be 80% of the way there, and you could maintain your happiness and maintain your joy, because your happiness and joy isn't coming from the goal itself and the accomplishing of the goal. The mind is experiencing unconditioned happiness or unconditioned joy in the unenlightened state, or in the enlightened state. In the unenlightened state, the mind is experiencing conditional happiness, that it's only when these certain conditions are met that I can then be happy. My mom and dad do this, if the weather is this, if my boss does this, if I have this much money in my bank account, if I have this type of house, this type of car, then I will be happy. So your happiness actually shrinks because you have all these criteria that have to be met in order for there to be happiness. If I meet all my goals, I will be happy. that's not actually a goal. That's a craving, desire, attachment. That's wants and expectations. A true goal, if you're making your way towards it and you're 80% of the way there, you can maintain your happiness because because your happiness isn't based on your goal. So now when you're 80% of the way there, you might look at it because you are interested in making wise decisions. You're like, I haven't got to my goal yet. And, the time's kind of expired. Well, I could give myself more time. That'll help me to make this goal. Maybe I'll give myself more time. Or I could add resources to this, and maybe that'll help me to be able to meet my goal. Or you know what? 80% is just fine. I don't need anything more than this. This works just fine, right? And now you can actually maintain your goals and objectives and gradually work towards them. And you can have enthusiasm and ambition and motivation to do so based in wise decision making. But this craving, desire, attachment, these wants and expectations that someone's chasing, they will burn out on those. That's what people call burnout, because you will chase and chase and chase and chase and chase and chase and chase, and you'll get exhausted doing this chase. And then in some cases, you'll get what you want and you'll be happy. In other situations, you won't, and you'll be sad or frustrated. And now eventually you'll burn out and you'll be unmotivated and have a lack of enthusiasm because you don't have that craving any longer that is pushing you. So if you come to the middle where you train your mind to pursue things as a goal, objective, or interest, this can be sustained all throughout your life. So while other people have expectations, while the society around you might see this pecking order and this hierarchy in society, you can train your mind to just see everybody is equal. And now you can train your mind to gradually work towards your goals, objectives, or interests while maintaining your peace and joy, despite what other people are thinking. So your enlightenment and your ability to get to peace and joy isn't based on how the world is constructed and what the world is doing. It's about you being able to not adopt and conform to what the world is choosing to do, because oftentimes people are doing things very unwisely in the world. So an enlightened being isn't just conforming to what other people do. You're rising above that and being able to see this better way of life that the Buddha taught. Yeah, you're welcome. Anybody else have questions? You have a question? Yes, ma'am.
5 years ago, I got divorced. During these 5 years, I lost my good friend because she fell ill. And then my mother also passed away due to illness. What drove me crazy the most is that my sister passed away due to cancer in just 1 month this year. These things make me very sad. I often miss her, and I don't know how to get out of this sadness.
Okay, so what this is, and it's unfortunate when these things are happening, but it's just the mind craving permanence. That's all that's experiencing is the mind wants mom to be permanent. And now when mom dies, the mind experiences this impermanence and it doesn't like it. Same thing with sister dying. Same thing with divorce, right? You made a certain decision to be together with a partner. And then when you guys separate, the mind doesn't like this impermanence because it's craving permanence. So what you need to be able to do is train your mind to let go. And there's a path here that the Buddha teaches. It's called the Eightfold Path. This is the core central teaching that I recommend for everybody to learn. And this is something that I teach in all the various programs that I share, whether it's the weekend programs, whether it's the courses and retreats, whatever it is that I'm teaching, I'm going to be teaching. This is the core central teaching of the Buddha. This is what trains your mind to actually let go. And this is an image here, but behind each one of these factors, there's teachings that are going to help you. This is the complete perfect plan to train your mind to no longer crave permanence. But just looking at this image, okay, that's interesting, but you need to be able to know the teachings behind this. And that's what I help people to be able to understand. So the breathing mindfulness meditation is surely helpful for you. Practicing generosity trains your mind to let go, but you really need to be able to practice all of this here. And the way that you can learn this is through our books, our audiobooks, our videos, our podcast, our classes, courses, retreats. They're all available at no cost. Everything's available for you. You can get this book by downloading it from our website for free. You can take it and go print it. You can get printed versions here by reimbursing us for the printing cost, or you can get it on Amazon if your country has access to Amazon. And you can attend our classes live through the online stream, or if you can't attend live, you can just watch the recordings, and that will help you to be able to gradually learn. Because there's nothing I can teach you in 3 minutes or 5 minutes that's going to fix all of that. You need to be able to understand the full training and be able to train your mind over a consistent long-term period. And through gradual training, gradual practice, gradual progress, you'll be able to train your mind to let go. Because in each one of these situations, all you've experienced is impermanence. You've experienced change. That's it. And now the mind's holding on and craving permanence, and your mind doesn't want to let go. And that's why the sadness is there, because it's not getting what it wants, which is this permanence. So if you are able to train your mind through this Eightfold Path, it will let go. And that's where your peace and your joy will come in more and more and more. In the way that the teachings of the Buddha work is as you're gradually training your mind, you'll see progress and improvement all the way through. It's not like you're working for 10 years and then all of a sudden, well, wham, you're all of a sudden happy. It's not like that. It's gradual training. You'll see gradual improvement to the condition of your mind. So if you decide you would like to learn this, you're more than welcome to, and I'll help you get plugged into all these things. You can even get personal guidance where I can sit down with you and help you one-on-one as you're learning these teachings, whether it's here in Chiang Mai or whether you're online. We meet in Zoom, and I'm able to help you, because it's no fun walking around with these painful feelings, but you need the wisdom of how to clean up the mind. Just like we have the wisdom of how to clean the body, you need to be able to have the wisdom of how to clean the mind. If you've never learned how to clean the mind, then you're walking around with this mind with all these pollutions that the Buddha found, and it's very difficult to live life that way. Just like if you didn't clean this body for several days or several weeks, several months or several years, you would be uncomfortable walking around with this body having not cleaned it. The same thing is true about the mind. If you don't clean up the mind, there's this other part to this being. It's not just a body. There's a mind here too. And if you don't have the wisdom of how to clean that, yeah, you'll feel very uncomfortable walking around in life. That's where the stress and anxiety and all these other feelings are coming from. So you can learn this, and these are all the different ways that you can learn that. And if you'd like to figure out how to get plugged into these teachings, you're welcome to come talk to me or consult our website. Our website's a hub, buddhadailywisdom.com. That's like a real hub to be able to help you get plugged into all the resources that we share.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. I don't think I see any more questions anywhere. So let me just check one more time. Okay, I don't see any questions online either. All right. So what I'm going to do then is just end class by thanking all of you guys for joining. Thank you for your interest to learn and grow and develop. These teachings absolutely lead exactly where the Buddha said they do, to this peace and joy. I know this with 100% certainty, and that's why I'm motivated to come here each day and be able to share these teachings with you, because these teachings are to heal from what hurt you so that you never need to hurt ever again. That's what the teachings of the Buddha are for, is to heal from what hurt you so that you never need to hurt ever again. But you need to first understand what is hurting you is within your own mind. And then as you understand that through independent verification and you apply the tools and the techniques to solve it, you'll be able to see that that's what's occurring. So there's plenty of opportunities for you to learn more and grow and develop, participate in what we do here in the community. And I'll just share some of those things with you. This Friday, 2 days from now at 6 p.m., we have a social event here. If you guys would like to come, each Friday we have this event at 6 p.m. on Friday, where members of our community and new people come and we just hang out and we either watch movies or play games. This week is game night, where we're going to be playing games. Sometimes people bring snacks and food. We have some music playing. It's kind of like a party, essentially. We just have a party, a really wholesome time to spend. So if you're interested in coming out and hanging out with some new friends and meet some new friends, play some games, you're welcome to come here at 6 p.m. on Friday. On Saturday and Sunday, we have our regular classes of the Pali Canon and English Study Group in the group learning program. That's at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. On Saturdays, I teach at 9 a.m. here, and on Sundays, I teach at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. here in this room. You guys are welcome to come, where I'll actually be covering a specific topic. This Sunday, we're going to be in chapter 22 of this book. It's titled Mental Health, a Modern Day Delusion. This is where I help you to be able to see things like depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, ADHD, ADD, bulimia, anorexia, PTSD, all of these things can actually be resolved through training of the mind. Oftentimes people think that this is a biological problem. They think that there's some defect with their brain, and they might be using chemicals in order to try to modify their brain chemistry, like medicines and prescriptions. But you can actually solve all the symptoms that you're experiencing that are labeled as these things through actually training of your mind. And I'm going to show you in a way that you can independently verify that this is actually the case. So that's what I'm going to be teaching this Sunday. Then on Saturday at 1 p.m., we have an introduction to the teachings of the Buddha course. It's a 3-hour course where you can learn what are the teachings of the Buddha, what the teachings of the Buddha are not, and you'll be able to learn his very first teaching. That's a great place to start, is Saturday at 1 p.m. if you guys would like to come for that. And remember, all these things are available at no cost for you. And then next week on Monday through Friday, we have a Foundation in the Path to Enlightenment course where it's 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday, where you're learning all the foundational teachings in depth to be able to really get on the path to enlightenment and be able to start making progress. And Friday next week, we cap off that course with a tour where I take students out into other temples where you can learn the artwork, the architecture, and the symbolism of the temples, so that when you go in and out of these temples, it actually has real meaning for you because you understand why things are the way they are in these various temples. And we have audio tours too that are recorded that you can take those at the various temples that I've done those for, so you're able to benefit from those too, even if you're not going to be here next Friday when I do the audio, when I do the actual physical tour. So these are just some of the opportunities that are coming up here in the near future. You'll find these on our calendar over there on the bulletin board, and you'll also see them on our website at buddhadailywisdom.com. There's an events calendar there, and it has all the details of exactly what it is that we're sharing throughout the days and weeks and months. So again, thank you all for joining for today's class. Whatever you choose to do today, have a very lovely and wonderful rest of your day. Perhaps we'll see you next time. Sawadee khap. Sawadee khap.
Thank you again for watching. Enjoy your meditation. Look forward to seeing you online and answering any questions that you might have. Thank you so much.